Now live. Hello, everybody. We just wait a little bit for everybody to connect, and then I leave you.
You're brave.
To start, yeah. So we are on Facebook and on YouTube as well. Let me check because you never know.
I'm just going to refresh my page. Hold on. Oh, and turn my volume off.
Okay.
I'm terrible for doing that. I must admit.
Okay. Here we are. Okay. Here we are.
Oh, sorry, there's me. I'm back again. I was refreshing. You got to see a bit of my craft room, my crafty space.
Okay. Okay, people is coming.
Oh, sorry, there's me. I'm back again.
I have to shut up the volume because I hello everyone. Hello. I put even the link on Instagram on our YouTube page, so even from there you can connect. Yeah. Hello everyone. Hello.
Hi everyone.
How are you tonight, this evening? To everyone. So this evening we are playing with stamps.
Yeah. I thought it'd be nice to play with the stamps for a change rather than just the papers.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why we have. I have a little problem here, but I don't think. Okay, no problem. Okay, everything. Okay, no problem. It was telling me something, but hello, Paula. Hello, Tamara. Hello, Brian. A man this time. This evening we have a man with us.
Brian's a super creative. He's really good. He does this really cool paper casting with stamps.
Yeah.
And makes like that. Oh yeah, they're brilliant. Mm.
Wow. I'm going to check and going to spy something on his page. Okay, Tamara, thank you very much. Hello, Olivia from Ontario, Canada. No, Ontario. Yes, Ontario is in Canada. It's true, or is in California. Canada. Okay. I'm not so good in geography. And she's following us from YouTube. Okay, so if you want to introduce what we are going to do this evening and so on, and then we start.
Right, okay, we're going to have a play with the new indigo stamps, but I'm going to... The card I made and we showed on social media, I did one colourway, which was totally different to the papers. So what I'm going to do in the live is I'm going to bring in the paper colours as well. So if you don't feel brave enough just to pick any colour up and give it a go, I can look at the papers and how the beautiful peacock design and the colours from there, and we can bring those in and cut, quickly and easily colour up this image, and then just add a little bit of extra sparkle, because I think the peacock needs a bit of sparkle. And I'm going to bring in some of the elements from the fussy cut pad as well.
Perfect. We cannot wait. So a lot from Chicago as well. Some people from all over the world.
Brilliant.
So if you want to start, let's
okay.
Start.
Okay. Yep. I've got to turn my camera around.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Oh. So.
Wow.
That was quite cleanly done, wasn't it, sort of ish? I'm just seeing, we'll let Facebook catch up. Right, okay, now mine's going to be landscape, but I will turn everything around so you can see what I'm actually doing. Right, so what I did was I took the stamp set that I've got mine already out. Beautiful stamp set we've got here, and I wanted to colour it up completely differently from the actual papers. So I've created a background with it, and then I've actually gone for pinks and purples because the background is more blues and teals. But what we're going to do in the live is take inspiration from this, but actually look at the papers and the colours there. So if you don't feel quite so brave to do everything, just do your own thing, you can take from the papers. So I'm just going to bring my papers in quickly before I start. So, these papers, just my perfect colorway these papers are. So I'm just going to grab let's grab the 12 by 12s because then you'll be able to see the designs a little bit more. And I want to start, let me find the peacock. Oh, look at that. I've got to show, look at that dragonfly. So you've got the beautiful dragonfly image, but I'm trying to look for the beautiful peacock. So on this 12 by 12 fussy cut, we've got the beautiful peacock that we can cut out. So it's all the blues, and you can see from the color palette here, we've got blues, we've got golds, we've got a little bit of oranges and a touch of purple. So I thought what we could do is actually make, using those as our inspiration. So let's put those away. I mean, if you haven't seen the papers designs, do go and check them out because there is just so much. Sorry, I've got to put them all back in my box in the right way round. Otherwise, it will just not work for me. Right, so what I have prepped some bits ahead because I want to try and show 2 or 3 different ideas doing the same idea. That sounds a bit weird saying it that way. Right, I'm going to take this beautiful peacock and I want to start first of all by making a background, and unfortunately I will lift it up for you guys. I'm going to use clear embossing ink to start with because I want to do a colour wash background. Let's move those stamps out of the way, as well as bringing in some other coloured backgrounds as well. So I'm just going to use a clear ink to start. And I will, like I said, I will turn the project around so you can see what I'm doing and lift it up to camera. So I'm just making sure that I've got enough ink on there. Now I've cut this panel to fit what would be a DL card, a tall, slim card. So it's approximately, off the top of my head, 9.5 centimetres wide. And I want to put the peacock in the centre-ish, as she says. Paula, yeah, Personal Impressions has all of the papers and stencils and the stamps as well. Oh, the stencils. Oh, they're something else altogether. The stencils are just, but they've got them all, and if you look on their website, absolutely everything is there. So I think it's the 2 12 by 12s, the A4 Creative, the fussy cut and the 8 by 8, plus the stamps I'm using as well. Right, let's get that there. And let's move you over there. So, like I said, this bit is going to be a little bit weird because obviously I'm doing clear on clear at the moment, but I've got some other backgrounds that we're going to work on at the same time. And then, but let's have a look. Maybe I should have prepped this one in advance and left the coloured ones to go, but never mind. All right, so let's give this a quick blast. Right. And then I'll show you what I've done with the other backgrounds and you can see how it's stamped up. And this is a beautiful, it's a beautiful stamp. There is, the first time you get it, you'll probably look at it and think it looks incredibly busy. And then you'll go, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to use it, but there are so many snippable bits within it. There's so many ways to extend the design. The peacock itself can be cut out in lots of different ways as well. One of the things I want to try, it's only just arrived, so I couldn't do it for my live, is I got some of the Wow bonding powder that works with foils, because I think this stamp would work brilliantly. So what I have done is I've taken the ink pads, which are from Ciao Bella, and this one is Cornucopia, and let's turn you right round, and this is the stamp stamped out in that one and embossed. So that's one background there. And then what I've done is, so I've got all my card blanks ready as well, which is impressive. I've done exactly the same, but I've used the ink pad, which is Idyllic Isle, and you can see it, you've got all that beautiful detail right away there. Now these are going to be my backgrounds, and I'm going to work actually on the backgrounds, and when we can, you know, I just want to build them up nice and subtly. So I'm going to treat myself and actually sit down, which is a bit weird. So, Tamara, you got yours? I'm hoping Personal Impressions has adjusted their postage. I did speak to them about it. I will double check. If they haven't, I will double check again with Ray. Right, I'm using paints just for a really, really nice quick background, because what I want to do is do the backgrounds and I want to let them dry while we go on to do the next part. I'm just spritzing my paints just to wake them up. Let's grab a paintbrush. So, okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take, like I said, from the papers, let's get a peacock and then I can show you. That sounds really rude, doesn't it? Let's get a peacock, or it sounds horrible. So for taking from like the papers we've got here, we've got blues and golds. I'm going to focus on the golds and a tiny little bit of the blues to do all my backgrounds with each of them. And I'm going to take that as my inspiration for the colour palette. Now, the peacock stamp compared to the peacock paper, it's slightly different in design. So if I bring both of them in, you can see. So it's like you've got two different peacocks now to work with if you've got the stamp or you've got the papers. It's two different designs, so you can put them together to work brilliantly together. Right, let's just do that. So let's just get some more water. And all I want to do is I'm going to be covering this. I just want to put down some loose paint everywhere over the image. Get some more water. And I like to let my watercolors dry if I can. And I'm not going to be too fussy with the background. So this is the one that I did with the clear embossing. And I'll lift them all up because I can't zoom my camera in. I don't know why, but Facebook won't let me at the moment. And I'm not sure why. So we'll get that one there. And I'm going to introduce a bit more colour. Let's go for a lighter gold on this one, but we'll stick to the golds. And the inks from Ciao Bella, the ones I've used, are pigment based. But if you're quick with a pigment ink, you can still emboss it, which is what I've done here. Because then I can rub off any colour from the lines and just have the lines standing out. So all I'm doing is I'm just picking where there is some detail on the background. I am just picking that out to put my initial colour down. Oh, Tamara, brilliant. Yeah, they were going to really look into the postage and try and keep the postage, you know, as affordable as possible. Right, so as I said, I'm just putting down some colour very, very quickly. I find if I'm going to do backgrounds like this, I try not to think about them too much. I just go with how I think they should look. Right, so I'm just going to drop in a tiny bit of some more colour in, and I want a bit of the blue, but I don't want it to be too intense. And I just want to drop in a little bit of the blue here and there. And I'll blend it out in a moment. So so on this one, I'm dropping in a little bit of the blue. So whilst the paper is still wet, I'm going to let the water do its thing. And I'll dab away any excess that I don't want. Right, so we've got you there. And we'll do the same here with this one. Because what I've done with these ones is I'm actually going to use these as my background because I've already stamped out the peacock again and cut it out because I didn't really think you needed to see me cut out all the images. So I'm just going to let that do there, and we'll put that one over here. And then finally, this is the clear background one. And I'm just dropping in, like I said, a little bit of the colour just to highlight it in places. If I get my cards done in time, I can show you around the papers a little bit more. Right, so we've got those going. So See, so from that one there, it looks a bit like a hot mess. So I've just added the little bits of gold and a little bit of the blue to go round to match the blue ink from there. And then this is the gold and the blue to match that beautiful like caramel, warm caramel colour. So I've got a little bit, hopefully, of sparkle going on. And then this is the background that's just clear embossing ink. And it's very, very subtle to see, you know, the background detail from the stamp. I'm going to let these dry naturally because I prefer to do that with watercolours rather than heat them, especially if you've done heat embossing, because all that will do is just make my heat embossing shrink. So I'm just going to move my paints out of the way and put these somewhere to dry. Where am I going to put my paints? Let's put you over there, and then I'll put these somewhere to dry, and I'll be back. Hold on. Okay, right. Now, what I have done in advance is I have stamped and cut out the actual, just the main peacock image, and I've kept all those different areas in there because I want to actually layer this on top of the background that we've made. So I've got the actual peacock there, and what I want to use for it is, rather than paints or things like that, I thought it would be really nice to bring in like our jelly rolls or our micron pens, sparkle pens, those sort of things, because I thought they'll add sparkle and the metallic look to our project really, really quickly. So let's just move. No, I don't want to lose those. I'm going to take my paintbrush out of the water before I damage it. Let's move you. Now, I don't know whether people are aware or not, but with a micron pen, you can actually water them out, and you can, whilst the ink is wet, you can do that. So what I thought we'd do is do a little bit of that, and I'm going to start off with the sparkle pens and bring in the colour. So I'm going to go for like a gold, and we'll go for a blue. There's a dark blue, and there's a teal blue, and I'm looking for the light blue in a moment. And we'll bring in a tiny little bit of the purple. So the sparkle pens are basically ink, tiny little bits of glitter caught into the ink. And like I said, with the jelly roll pen, you can, because it's a little pen, you can actually colour into all this small detail. But whilst the ink is wet, I can pull the ink out, and I can then give myself a beautiful sparkle image. I'll just do one or two bits, and then I can lift it up and show you what I mean. So I'm just going to colour them in. And the slower you do a jelly roll pen, the more ink comes out, which means you can get more colour down. So now I get a really beautiful, subtle sparkle effect. And I've made the ink, instead of being more opaque, I've made it a little bit more translucent. But I can, because I'm using a pen, it means I can actually colour in all the detail a little bit easier. I find to get this to work properly, having a damp paintbrush works much better than a wet paintbrush. That sounds a bit back to front. What I mean is, if your paintbrush, so like mine's damp, I can put it on my hand and it doesn't leave any water, but I can actually feel that the bristles are damp to touch. So we're just going to build up a few bits of the colour. And the other thing that is really cool about a jelly roll is that they're designed to work on non-porous surfaces, which means once this is dry, if I want to build up the intensity and things like that, I can go back over them, so I can add more sparkle, more colour, which to me is a real bonus. And one colour will not move the other colour once it's dry, so you can really pack a punch. And that is really, you know, to me, that's like, oh, Tamara, you know, it's a beautiful collection. As soon as I saw it, the colours just sang to me anyhow, straight away. I was just in love with the colours. I just thought the colours were absolutely out of this world. Such an easy palette to work with. Right, so if I lift it up, so that's, I've blended that out, but I'm hoping the camera will pick up the shine and the little bits of sparkle. So it's subtle, but it's actually there. So I'm going to keep going and building up. Very first craft item. Do you know the pens, if you treat the pens well, they'll look after you. I mean, I use mine all the time. And as I said, sort of thing, you can do so much with them, but they're ideal for images like this because I can pull the colour out whilst the ink is wet. Once the ink is dry, no, you can't. But I can build up the colour bit by bit, and I can bring on there. My paintbrush needs a little bit more water. And I can now, I just find it easier when you've got beautiful images like this, I can put the colour more specifically with a pen. And as I said, one of the other benefits is if I don't particularly like the colour there, I can go over it with another jelly roll. Right, so I'm just going to very quickly build this up. Now, obviously I'm doing this for a live, and I would if normally spend a little bit more time colouring than I am. But I don't want to make it all about the colouring. I just share some different ideas with you. So I've got the blue there, and I'm just looking at different areas that I can put the blue in and bring it down. Let's have a look. So you have both the collections. Oh, what, you've got the Reign of Grace, Jill? That's another beautiful collection. That's got some lovely imagery in it as well. A completely polar opposite collection to Indigo. The Reign of Grace also will work absolutely if you've got previous collections like Notre V, even some Black Swan, the colours in there, if you want a real contrast between the two. Sparrow Hill, it'll work brilliantly with those as well. So you can bring those backing papers in as well for the Reign of Grace. So we've got this here. And like I said, all I'm doing is I'm just looking to see where I want to put the colour, and I'm just pulling out the colour. So it'll give me a really nice, subtle, well, I'm hoping subtle look. And we can bring those out. So when I'm colouring, sorry, I'm in the zone when I colour. So if I miss a comment, I apologise. Cig Noir, I love Cig Noir. I love the colours in Cig Noir. Sparrow Hill, oh, mind you, I love all the colours in most of the collections that come. So very lucky I get spoiled. The stencils in Cig Noir and the stamps are absolutely gorgeous as well. But so, like I said, I'm just bringing in the colour bit by bit. I need a bit more water, but I need it to be damp. And it does, even though this looks like a really, and it is a really, really, really detailed stamp, it doesn't have to take long to colour if you don't want it to. So we've got a little bit of the blue. As I said, I'll lift it up so you can see in a minute. So I'm just now bringing in some other areas for the peacock. And I want to just blend those out there. As I said, I'm using the pen, but you could, if you've got paints, or these would work just as well with your alcohol markers. All right, I'm just going to bring in some like a silver color and just lay some shadow down in places before I do the next. So I'm actually going over some of the gold that I did previously because it's dry with like a grey silver, and that'll start building up a little bit of shadow ready for me to put some other colours on top. So got those there. And I'm in love with the thing I like as well is and I know it's very hard for people to understand the relevance of them. The fussy cut pads I absolutely adore because you get 24 sheets of embellishments, but in my eyes I treat it that I get 8 sheets rammed full of embellishments and I get 16 backing papers, and it's absolutely perfect. I have used mine on the scan and cut, and it cuts really well on the scan and cut. I can't talk about other electronic machines because I only have the scan and cut, I'm afraid. Right, so I'm just going to bring in a little bit of purple now and build up the design. I think I might need to go for a little bit of an orangey pink in a minute. I need to put a bit more water on my brush. Bring it in. And let's see, I could colour, I mean, because you've got lots of detail in the stamp that you could colour each one of these areas in a one colour if you want. I think it's quite nice to, so I'm sorry, I'm lost now because I'm in the colouring zone. I do apologise. Right, so I'll just do a little bit more there. I'm going to go and get a bronze metallic in a minute and just add some of that in, some depth. We'll just do a little bit of purple up here. Okay, and even though I'm watering these colours out, it will dry quite quickly, that I can then move on and carry on building up my layers. So we can bring that out. Now the pens aren't going to watercolour like a proper watercolour would and travel, because obviously they're more of a like a pigment, a suspended ink, an opaque ink, but they do for what I want to do for this image here. And I think we're going to do that there. And let's grab, I want to grab a metallic, I think. And I want to go a little bit darker where I've done the gold, but I'm going to use the metallic to do that. And I can add a little bit more depth that way. Said I could colour these flat, but I just thought it would be nice just to water them out, so you could still see the outline of the actual stamps. Okay. All right, let's do carry on. Sorry, I'm going as quick as I can. And I want to put some there. And we'll put some here. And bring it down, and I'm going to put some here. And some of it I'm going to do solid now. So we've got some contrast bits. Bring it in. Let's do the metallic up here. As I said, I'm just keeping the brush quite dry. And let's add some metallic here. I'll lift this up. I can add some more depth to it, but for the moment, it says me going, I'll lift it up and I'll leave it here, and I'm still going strong because I've got to now, you know, we just go, oh, right, okay, so I'm going to leave that like that. I need to let it dry, and then I'm going to bring in something else with them. I will do the ribbons. Oh no, I've just noticed one bit there. Let's just do that one bit. Let's grab a bit of blue. Can't leave that. The ribbons I'm going to use a glaze on, and we'll do some blue here. Right, okay. Oh, then I'm spotting other bits that I just want to add little bits on every now and then. I go, oh, there we go. Right, stop it, Louise. Telling myself off now. So I'm going to do something different with the ribbon in a moment, but I want to let it dry. So what I've done is I've just added the colours on, but I've now got shine. I've got a metallic look to it. So when we take the image on the paper, you can see via the stamp, the stamp has a completely different look. If I put white piece of paper, then it'd probably be easier because of the background. And then I can put the two side by side. Because someone asked me, you know, if the stamp was identical to the backing, and it's not. So you can see how the peacock in the main papers looks and how the stamp actually looks. And they're completely different designs. And you can be a little bit more wilder with your colouring and your ideas. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly go and grab my backgrounds and see if they're dry. And they are. Right, so that's the clear. Now, what I wanted to do was, we've got all three backgrounds. So, and put that there. I'm just going to quickly stamp up the sentiment. And I did get some excess paper card out. But what I didn't do was keep the stamping block out. Now, on the set, you get a sentiment that says, creativity takes courage. You also, let me turn it around so you can see it that way. Put a piece of paper behind it and you can see. You get a beautiful corner element here as well. Sorry, my stamps are dirty. This feather looks superb embossed, you know, on a background. So on the backing papers, stamping and embossing in gold. And then you get this lovely little border one here, which is like the little feathers. And you've got the sentiment from it, which, you know, creativity takes courage. The dragonfly set has another sentiment on it, and that is also a beautiful set of stamps. I'm trying to see. Oh, it's down over there. I'll grab it in a moment. So let's stamp this up, and I'm going to stick with the black. I want the sentiment to stand out. This is where I try and work out if my ink pad needs re-inking or not. PK scissors. Brian, the stuff you've made for me, you've really cut out and got right into detail. Okay, so we've got the sentiment. So creativity takes courage, and it's a beautiful sentence, but you've got enough space that if you wanted to cut creativity, you could. If you want to do takes, or if you just wanted to do courage by themselves, you could actually do that. Right, so I want to trim that down, and I'll share my ideas with you. So let's just take that like that. And I think this sentiment would look brilliant, stamped on black and embossed with white. You know, it'd look good either way. Right, so, okay, so what I thought was, with each of the backing panels, so where's my card blanks? So this is a DL card blank. So now I've got this. This is one backing. I like where you can have the background just stands out slightly, you know, from the deal. So they're the same card. Rather than doing a matte and layer, that's just my personal preference. So what I thought, if I try and do it this way, you might be able to see better, is I've got this here. And what I want to do is I'm going to actually build up the peacock so it stands proud on each of the backgrounds. So I won't finish all the cards off, but it's just to give you how different background can change the look of it. What I do want to do quickly is I do want to just colour in the ribbon, and I'm going to use, I'm still using my jelly rolls, and this is a glaze pen. So a glaze pen is going to give me the shine, and it's also going to give a raised element. So it'll give the look as if I've done a whole solid load of embossing. And as I said, the slower you go with a jelly roll pen, the more ink that comes out, and you get a beautiful fluid colouring. So I just want to go around where the ribbons were. And we can bring that there. And as I said, one of the benefits of the jelly roll is if your colouring isn't 100%, once it's dry, grab another colour and go over the top, because no one's going to notice. Okay, so we've got this, and then we've got another little bit here. And do it here. I think this as well, stamped and maybe embossed with gold on, you know, like a deep red, would change the look of the peacock design altogether again. So now we've got that touch of black, and I just want to bring in some of the other glazes in places. So let's go for, and I don't want to do all of them, I'm just going to pick certain ones. Let's get the pen started. Where's my scrap piece of paper gone? I did have one. Aha. So I can highlight different areas with the glaze. So I've got, again, different textures, different backgrounds blending into each other. It's such a beautiful bird that I just think it should have lots of different parts of it. I want to go for that one. If you've got these pens, don't start them off on the back of your hand. It says me, not the best idea for them, but you know. So I'm just going to bring in a little bit of detail, and I'm just going to smudge it. And I've got a bit more there that I can do. So the glaze now will just give me a real shiny, like I've done embossing, again on top of embossing. Now the glaze pens do take a little bit longer to dry, but that's okay. Right, okay. Sorry, I'd be here for ages, so I would spend a little bit more time colouring it, but we're going to leave it like that for the moment. But I am just going to do the beak, and which I noticed I had forgotten to do. And I do want to colour that out because I've done it metallic, and I don't want it to be solid in colour. Let's just dry my hands. Oh yeah, no, Brian, I think your paper casting technique with this sort of stamp would be so cool. So now I've got my different background. I'm just going to check this is dry. If it's not, I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes because I can still eat wet still. So the glaze pens have just now given me like another raised area on it. So we're just going to let that dry. And whilst I'm letting that dry, I might as well cut the other bits out that I've got here. So we've got, so now on the stamp we've got this beautiful crown right at the top. So I didn't want to get rid of it. I wanted to see if, you know, incorporate it as well back in. Seems weird using small scissors. I normally use big scissors. And what else I've done is from the fussy cut pad, different to my other card, I've cut out, you get some beautiful frames, loads, a whole page full of different types of frames and feathers. So what I've done is I've cut out a frame because I actually thought it would be nice to frame the sentiment rather than just do matte and layering. And then I can incorporate some of these designs actually back into the peacock as well. We've got that there. As I said, with the fussy cut pads, you know, there is so many things you can do. Right. So we've got this background here, and I'll turn it round so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm just checking to see if this is dry. It is, right. And I'm just going to put some foam pads on the back because I want to raise this up and arc it a little bit. So we've got, okay. I'm going foam pad crazy. Right, I want to put a second layer on the bottom part of where the peacock is. And I'm not going to stick everything down. I'm just going to show you my different ideas, and we can then choose together which background you would like the peacock stuck on. Now, I can't see any comments on YouTube, so if anybody has any suggestions with that, Eleonora might have to jump in and say if there is a colour preference, or I'll let Eleonora choose. Right, so let's move you guys out of the way. So this is the background that I did with the cornucopia pigment ink from Ciao Bella. And so I've got that background there. So what I want to do, that will stick down like this. The peacock, just going to tweak it just a little, is now going to sit on top of that background like that. So now we've got a completely different sort of background with the actual peacock. And then layering up, I would have my frame and my sentiment. So creativity takes courage. And then I can add further embellishments using some of the cutout pieces on top of the peacock to add a little bit of layers and texture. Obviously, this isn't all stuck down. And that would be the basis of my actual card. Obviously, it's not stuck down. So we've got that background. So if I take that background away, and then we've got the beautiful background from the Idyllic Isle. I love the colour of this. It really suits this collection absolutely beautifully. So we could have the peacock again onto that background. And now it looks different again. If I add the frame and the sentiment, and I add some of the other feather bits back inside, and we'll do one here, and I'll put that one on there. So now we can make it look like that. So the peacock is a bit more blended with the background. So we've got that there. And finally, this is the one that I've just embossed in clear and just done a watercolour. Look, I cut so many different bits out. So if I put the peacock, let me just make that card. It's because I put it on, I've got my heater on so I could dry these really quickly. So if I put the peacock onto this background, it's now completely different again and very subtle, and the peacock becomes the focus. I can put, like I said, there, and I've got loads of feathers I cut out because I didn't know how many I wanted and how many I didn't. So I thought cut more rather than less. And what I didn't do for all of them was I was going to stick the crown back on the top for each of them. So now you've got a completely different look by changing the background with the peacock again. And it looks completely different. So which background would you like me to make the finished card in? Would it be like the clear, the beautiful like bronze caramelly one or the teal blue. So I'm going to take a quick slurp of coffee, and if someone could come up with a suggestion, or if no one does, Eleonora, which one do you want?
So it's up to me. I like the first one.
That one.
Yep.
Okay. Brian got there as well, the bronze one. Thanks, Jill. They've all said bronze as well.
Yeah.
Right, so if we stick this down. There we go. And just going to stick that backing panel there. Let's just move these out of the way just for the moment. So I've got a bit more room. I've got embossing powder on my mat and it's bugging me. Right, so let's stick the peacock down. And like I said, I've layered some as two. You could use, if you prefer using glue gels, use glue gels. I've gone for foam pads because obviously I know it's going to stay put at least for the live. So I've got that there. And now let's mount up the frame. So I want the frame to be sitting there a little bit. So let's just stick this around the outside and then I can mount them up with some foam pads. And as I said, with the fussy cut sheet, there's some frames in the A4 Creative as well as the 12 by 12 papers, but the frame in the fussy cut sheet just fitted this sentiment perfectly. Right, let's just put some foam pads on the back there. What did I do with them? Oh, they're there. And as you can see, you've got beautiful designs on the back as well. Right, let me just work out how many I want to do. Now, I would do projects like this if I wasn't using foam pads. For me personally, I'd probably use a gel medium to stick everything down, because I know then it's definitely not going to move. Okay, so we've got that. And I'm lining this up now opposite way, so if it's not quite straight, oh well. Right, I haven't stuck this part down here, and the main reason for it is I want to bring in some of the feathers that I actually cut out, and I want to start layering in a few of those. And I can do it if I don't stick the whole frame down, because I can go afterwards with some glue. It's not quite so easy. Why don't I just put my glue back that side? It would be so much easier. Right, so we can then tie that there. I love this blue one. I think that's an absolutely beautiful one. I think the whole colour palette, actually, the blues and the golds, and the colours look as if they're gold as well, which I know it sounds really silly, but they do. And then we've got this feather that I'm going to put here. Okay. And I've got a darker blue one, so I just want to bring in another blue. So I'm going to have to turn it towards me now so I can see the layering. Otherwise, I'll get... No, that's too big. Yeah, let's go for that one. That's better. Slightly smaller. Oh, okay. Build that up there. And I want to put the crown on. And I'm going to put the crown, because I've stamped it in black, I'm going to put the crown on there. And then I should get rid of all those little bits because they'll bug me. What I did do was I actually just got some sequins out. On my other card, I actually put seed beads. I'll lift it up in a moment and show you. So I'm going to put sequin there. I need to colour his eye in, or her eye in, because that will bug me because it's not done. Let's just put one more down here. And we'll have one up here. We'll put a few there. Oh, pick up tool. What did I do with you? Here you go. And this is where I regret not just doing them as I go along, because I can't remember where I put the glue. Okay, and we've got one here. And one there. And one on the crown. That. And I think, let's have a look. It does need, sorry, this is me. It does need, I'm going to put one more just underneath there. I've got using the biggest glue imaginable, and I probably don't need to. We've got that there. Right, okay. So if I lift it up now, I would faff, I'm being honest, and I would add probably a little bit more depth and colour, but that's to give you an idea of how, you know, the stamps work, the different background. I've got a bit of glue there, which is going to bug me. There we go, gone. And just added a little bit more detail. What I did get out though was I did get some purple sequins out, but I didn't think they quite went with the background. And I did get some teal ones, and I didn't think that went with the background. But that's like the finished card compared to the one I did previously, which is more pinks and purple. So if you wanted to take inspiration from the actual papers, you could do that way. Or if you wanted to go off into your own world and colour how you wanted to colour, you can do it that way.
So. Love it, Lou. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want. So have a nice evening, both from me and Lucio, my dog. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening to all of you. Bye to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Whoop. Okay, where is... Okay.